In 2011, the San Antonio Young Leaders Conference gathered young men and women from various schools across the city of San Antonio. They came together with one mission and one purpose: to re-envision themselves, their community, and to compete at one of the most trying leadership experiences in any young adult's life. They came together as champions, and their journey was one that will live in San Antonio's history forever. These young men and women were asked to do things, say things, and think things that no one had ever expected of them. And that was what this journey was about redefining themselves, what they thought about their community, and what they were going to do with their lives. These men and women served as leaders for an entire community of people and would go on to be champions at their own specific great debates. The Sherman Great Debate was one that we competed in as an incredible team. These young men and women brought the fire of San Antonio to competition, and it was evident at the lock-in, with cross-examination, mock trial, extemporaneous speaking, and the category of oratory. They would go on to represent our city at the Sherman Great Debate 2011. The bus ride was long, and they were prepared, but we needed food first. Once we arrived, we took pictures and geared up for the competition that lay ahead of us. With great champions in our midst, we knew that we had to bring the fire, or else we couldn't do what we were meant to do. Though we got tired, though we laughed and played, this was serious competition, and every single one of us knew this. We would leave knowing that we had done something great, but before we left, we would make sure to bring some medals with us. In the Sweet 16, we had extemporaneous speakers, cross-examiners, people in mock trial, as well as in the finals of mock trial. We also won adjudication and got second in adjudication. These young men and women came back to train the 2011 Ambassador Great Debate Group. The San Antonio Ambassador Great Debate team was one that worked hard to succeed the legend of the 2011 Sherman Great Debate team. They had big shoes to fill and were eager to live up to the San Antonio legacy. At the lock-in, tempers flared, and young men and women who had never before spoken with passion or enthusiasm came out of their shell and became the young leaders we now know them to be. The finals at the lock-in was one where young men and women could be the leaders they were meant to, and the next day they danced like the partiers they loved to be. After all the fun and games, pictures were taken representing who these young men and women were and which categories they would compete in. All of them great, all of them leaders, all of them being champions. It was time for the bus ride to Ambassador. This one would also be one where stress was high and we were getting ready to compete. Upon arrival, again we knew that it was time for competition. San Antonio, being one of the first teams there, got itself pumped up to intimidate and represent. Even though the auditorium had very few other teams, we still were the loudest and knew how to represent San Antonio and the Latino community. During the training sessions, the young men and women of the Ambassador team bonded like never before. Our hearts raced with the adrenaline of competition the next day, and we geared up for an exciting, exciting weekend. The first day was tough, but luckily we had some games to soften us up. Ultimately, we had orators, CX, and extempors, as well as mock trialers, go on to the Sweet 16. The following day, the Sweet 16 rounds were some of the most stressful in the lives of these young champions. Our adjudication teams were also challenged. Again, San Antonio took first and second in adjudication. And for the first time in years, they took first in the category of cross-examination. After these great experiences, all of the SAYLC 2011 participants joined again for a social in order to commemorate our year of success at competition and celebrate the new and important outlooks we had formed about ourselves and our community.